It's one off. So here is Perkei Gimel Mishnah Zayin. We started it last week, but we'll start from the beginning again. Rabbi Lazar Ishbar Tusa Oimer in Perkei Gimel, the third paragraph. Ches? Gimel Ches. In the booklets that you have. So Rabbi Lazar Ishbar Tusa Oimer. Rabbi Lazar from Bar Tusa would say, Tein loy mishaloi sha'ata v'shalcha shaloi. So you should give to a Kadosh Baruch Hu from what is his, because you and what is yours is his. So we saw last week, Rabbeinu explains that basically, Bekitzer, he says, if someone gives you $1,000 and says, hand out $900 to other people, and keep $100 for yourself. So would that be difficult? Is that hard to do? It'd be very easy. You give me $1,000, give me 10 $100 bills, I'll easily give out 9 to others, and I'll keep 100 for myself. So why is it, when it comes to spending money on mitzvahs, when it comes to stuff, sometimes it's hard for us to relinquish the money that we have? It's because we think that since I worked, it's my money, and it's Hashem is saying, give away my money to someone else. That's hard, because it's I worked for it and I deserve it. So the Mishnah is telling us, the Belazi Ishbar Toys is telling us that we have to realize, Tein loy mishaloi, that really a Kadosh Baruch Hu, everything we have, even though we do hishtadlus to make the money, but whatever we have really comes from Him, and has nothing to do with our hishtadlus directly. And therefore, it's as if Hashem said, for every dollar I give you, I have to give 10 cents to stop it. But it's not like it's my money that I have to give away. The money's not mine. Hashem gives it to me on the condition that I give 10% away. The Chavetz Chaim says the same thing by Lashon Hara. So we think that it's very hard to keep Lashon Hara. And Taka is hard for us because there's so much we can't say. In other words, our mindset is, I can say everything. And the Torah comes and says, but you can't say this, and I can't say that, and I can't say that. It's very hard. If we look at the other way, we say, I can't say anything. I have no right to say anything. And then this I can say, it's a different mindset. It's a totally different vantage point. It's not like I can say everything the Torah restricts. I can't say anything, and the Torah lets me speak. Here also, it's not that I have money I have to give away. It's that some money stays by Hashem, the others is given to me. The other 90% is given to me. That's how one has to look at it. The Chaim B'David, he points out that we find the same thing by David HaMelech, who Omer, Ki mimcha hakol, from you is everything, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everything, umiyadcha nasnu lecha. And from Hashem's hand it was given to you, it was given to me, therefore it should be easier to spend money on mitzvahs and to give stuff. Rabbi Shimon says, hamahalech b'derech v'shoyneh. A person is walking and he's learning, or he's reviewing, is literal translation, v'shoyneh, umafsik mimishnaseh, and he stops. What? Did I skip? I have Rabbi Shimon. I have Rabbi Shimon here, but there's a gimel. There is a gimel. Nuscha Achrina Yaakov. Ayin the Medrash. Okay, so it's a shayla. There it says Yaakov. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So it's either Rabbi Shimon or Rabbi Yaakov says, Hamahalach b'derech v'shoyn, a person's walking and he's learning, u'mafsik mimishnos, and he stops learning, v'omer, and he says, Manoa ilon zeh. Manoa near zeh. How beautiful is this tree? How beautiful is this plowed field? Ma'ila alava kasav ki'ilu mischayev b'nafshoy. So the pasuk, HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers it as if he's chayev misa, as if he's warranted of the death penalty, because he was walking and learning, and he stopped to say how beautiful this tree is. Now the chiddush is that he's not even talking. It's not lashon hara, obviously. It's not evil speech, and it's not even what a fancy car, right? Manoa ilan zeh is a person is recognizing Hashem's hand in nature, which is also a mitzvah. To see the Shara Bechina, Chavos Avos talks about how we're obligated to look into nature and see how beautiful it is. But if a person is in the middle of learning and he stops to recognize Hashem's godless in something else, that is Kilim Mischayev B'nafsho. Why is that? So Rabbeinu Yonah, who has the Gears of Rabbi Yaakov actually, he explains like this. He says, when a person is learning, he should not have sichas chulin, he should not be speaking about anything else besides learning. Why? We have to realize that when we're learning Torah, there's a certain awe. But when you're talking to the president, lahavdil, and you see something, you're not going to look away and say, oh, it's a beautiful tree. You're in the middle of a conversation with a very chashuv person. When we're learning Torah, even though we can learn whenever we want, we can sit and learn. The president, it's once in a lifetime that a person gets to speak to him. But if you got to talk to him every day, it probably would be different. But Torah is always like that one time you get to speak to the president. And there's a certain awe. We're learning Hashem's Torah, and therefore If a person's just going to go to something else, that shows he's lacking in his awe. It's a big challenge for us, right? Because we learn Baruch Hashem so much that it becomes very casual. That's part of what the expectation is, that we try to keep it still with a certain level of seriousness. Obviously, if one is teaching children, or if one is doing kiruv, and you have to make a geschmack, and there's a certain levity that is allowed in order to become, that should be engaging. But at the same time, a person has to have that seriousness of mind, realizing that I'm involved in a Kadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, and it's a serious thing. And therefore, if a person is just, learning with this chavrusa, just to stop. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you one thing. You shouldn't do that. In the middle of learning, a person has to make sure that he's focused on his learning. So you can argue that, so I won't learn when I walk home. I mean, it says, if I'm walking and learning, and I stop in the Manoy Lanzem, so I won't learn them. So that obviously that's not an appropriate mahalach, because it's just shirking responsibility, right? Learning, you have an achrayus to learn, and then I have an achrayus also when I'm learning not to stop. The answer isn't to avoid the responsibility. Hashem won't be happy with that either, right? So I won't learn, and then I won't be mischayev b'nafshi. That's also not a valid mahalach. One has to take on the responsibility of learning and the responsibility of not being posik in the middle. Okay, Mishnah Ches. Mishnah Tes. Rabbi Yonah Mishum Rabbi Meir Omer. Meir said, Kol ha-shecheach davar echad mi-mishnah. So again, this is a very chomer Mishnah. Whoever forgets one thing from what he learned, Ma'ila olav ha'kasav ki ilu mischayev b'nafshi. Again, it's as if he's deserving the death penalty, because it says, Rak hishamar lecha u'shmor nafshcha ma'od. Be careful, pentishkach es hadvarim asher ra'u einecha. Lest you forget the things that your eyes saw. Lest one forget the Torah. So one must be very, very careful. Shmor nafshecha. Guard your nefesh. Guard your life, lest you forget something you learned. So if a person forgets something that he learned, he's mischayev b'nafshe. Says the Mishnah, Yachal afilu talk for all of Mishnasai. Let's say it was out of his control. It was the Mishnah just left his mind. It wasn't in his control. It gets a little bit easier. That the pasuk says, lest you on purpose take it away from your heart all the days of your life. In other words, says the Mishnah, the Isser, there's an Isser to forget Torah, and if one forgets Torah, he's mischayev b'nafshe, he's deserving the death penalty, but that's only if he sits down and tries to forget it. So if it's talking Mishnah, then he's not chayev.
Who does that? Everybody who forgets because it's out of their control.
Right, so we'll have to see in Rabbeinu how he explains it, but it's only if a person mamish is meisir, if he says, okay, I learned the Mishnah today in Perkei Avos, I want to forget it, right? That's a pretty big darga of rishus, of an evil person. That's the Mishnah is talking about on a simple level.
I think this gives you the fear of being chazer what you learn.
Of reviewing.
You have to just constantly review so that you don't forget.
Right.
At least you have to try.
So that's exactly what the Rabbeinu says. So we'll read his lashon inside. It's only a few lines. Hashkacha ki hashkacha hashicha. I'm sorry, mitzui b'vnei adam. People forget things, right? It's a matzui. It's a common thing. V'hoyloi lachzor hahalacha harbe pamim. You should have reviewed the halacha, the Gemara, whatever it is, many times. V'lachshuv ba kol hayom v'kol halayla. You should have been thinking about it throughout the day. Ad sheloi tuchol laser miliba. Until he can't forget it. Right? Something that's important to someone, he'll review to make sure he knows it. So a person should have done that. But also, he didn't do it. So the Rabbeinu Yonah limits it to a person who's issuing halachic rulings. So if a person is going to learn and he's not going to review, he's going to forget. Why is he mischayev b'nafshay? Not only because he forgot the Torah, but he's going to be paskening based on his memory. He's not going to have a good memory, and he's going to end up asering what's mutter and matering what's aser. The Nim says, people are going to be machal Shabbos, chas v'shalom, but they're going to be too machmir, and that's going to cause problems. And therefore, the person has an obligation, at least a person who's paskening, has an obligation to review. The nikra poisheya, he's called negligent, mipnei sheshigagas talmud oilazadin. If a person doesn't review, and it's by accident kind of, he didn't intentionally pass in the wrong thing, but since he didn't review, it's as if he did it intentionally. But if it was takva mishnah, so if the shicha comes out, they have zikna, or they oinus, if it wasn't his fault, that Chavji got into an accident. There's a Maisa with Rabbi Soloveitchik that he had a stroke. And he's sitting in the hospital, and his kids walk in, and they see he's like learning Daf Yonah. He's learning the Gemara, like that. So for a brisker to learn Daf Yomi, it doesn't go together. It's like a big steer, a big contradiction. They asked him, like, what are you doing? So the doctor said that my memory now is not going to be the same. I'm going to forget what I learned, so I'm not going to pass it anymore. So I'll be a good Baal Bas, and I'll learn Daf Yomi. Like he realized that maybe that from now on, that's what Hashem wants of him. Baruch Hashem, he ended up, his mind was fine, and he still continued to be a person. But, that's an oinus, right? Zikna also, Moshe Feinstein was, I think I said this before, was in the Sukkah on Sukkot. And he was giving a shiur. And he quoted a Gemara in Sukkah, Daf Yud Beis. And some guy in the shiur said, no, it's Daf Yud Aleph. No, it's Daf Yud Beis. Daf Yud Aleph, back and forth, back and forth. And Moshe got up, went up to his apartment, brought down the Gemara, opened it up, said, Daf Yud Beis, I was right. So the Talmidim were wondering, it's kind of not like the Rebbe's nature to be, you have to prove that you're right? Like, it seemed to be a little, arrogance there maybe. Moshe says, no, I paskin from my memory. If my memory is faulty, I can't paskin anymore. So if it was really Daf Yud Aleph and I held Yud Beis, so what else am I forgetting? I have to stop paskin. V'kach, that's what happened. Once Rav Moshe forgot one Mishnah, he knew Mishnah is Mishas Baal Peh. He forgot a Mishnah, he stopped paskin. He forgot one Mishnah, Baal Peh, by heart, and he stopped paskin. So that's Takva, that's the second half of this mission. That's Takva Mishnah, so he forgets it. But the first half, so the Rabbeinu is learning like Daniel was saying, that it's not that I sit there and say I want to forget. But others learn like that a person has to sit there and say I want to forget, to Baruch Hashem, then we're all safe. According to Yonah, it's I didn't chazer enough, I didn't review enough. That's as if I did it on purpose. But that only applies if a person's going to act on his knowledge. If I'm learning in the second morning kachim, and unfortunately it's not negay right now, halacha, and a person forgets that, so you're safe according to Rabbeinu Yonah. But if you're learning something that you're going to apply, then one has to chazer that in order to make sure he's applying it properly. Okay, we'll hold here. Yeah.